1. Sam Ward, welcome to the show. Have you seen that's Chris Williamson's intro. He always does that. Like, he spends like 15-20 minutes talking to people, talking to the guests, and then right before the start he goes, okay, 3, 2, 1, welcome to the show.
That's so intense.
It's and he looks at them, like he stares, and then he goes, yeah.
I've seen his videos, and I just don't like that whole, you know, I think it's him and Diary of a CEO. It feels cold.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like really dark and cold and like almost like an interrogation. Do you know what I mean?
I think the second a podcast goes from like a conversation to an interview, I tune off.
Yeah.
Unless it's someone like super interested that I'm really
specific
curious
topic.
to know their backstory or whatever.
Yeah, I think a podcast is like you almost go in it because you're interested in the subject, but you don't want to sit there and really, really, really pay attention to it.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was going to do that, I'd probably like watch a YouTube video or something.
Yeah, or put on like an audiobook or something. But I'm not in that space of mind now to go full dedication to this. Is so nice. Like, I can move the arms and no audio picks up.
Yeah, I was going to say the new microphones.
For anyone listening, we've gone from...
If you tap the desk as well, you can't hear it. Yeah. Whereas before it'd be like, poof, poof, poof. Yeah, it's super nice.
Yeah, for anyone watching out there, we've gone away from Rode podcasters. And now we've gone into Shure.
Yep. Shure.
Shure? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, the Shure SM7B microphone. It's pretty good. It doesn't pick up any of the taps. You might be able to hear it slightly, but it also doesn't pick up the static noise from the lights. Yeah. Which was the problem last time. Like, I don't know if anyone else heard it, but I could definitely hear it. And it was annoying.
It was really annoying. Hopefully the breathing in between pauses was also not as... That was terrible. Like, when we were filming podcasts, I had to step away like a whole meter for the sound not to pick up. Yeah. But yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about AI, right?
I think it was the whole... There's what's become really interesting, I think, on this journey for Sentinel, and for me specifically, is that we were quiet for years on any form of social media channel. I think the website was like coming soon for ages as well. And since obviously we hit like a tipping point where we was like, okay, we've got a lot of information now, like hundreds and hundreds of pieces of information. And it just felt really natural to start talking about it. You know, we was having the same conversation every single day with people offline, you know, phone calls or whatever, and going, this is what we've got, this is how we've got it, this is how we've come across it. And it didn't feel right not publicizing it, not in an ego way, and so like, oh, look at what we've got, you know, whatever. It was more or less like, wow, look at what we've just found. And we started doing that maybe, I don't know, like some point in 2024, like latter part of 2024, maybe summer 2024. And we just did it and did it again and mainly on LinkedIn. Yeah. And
we got serious pretty fast.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people obviously were watching the space and they were interested in stuff like that. But what really shocked me, I didn't really realize it at the time, but this whole advent of like AI, ChatGPT, you know, just being lazy with information and stuff like that is kind of right up the street of law firms. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is like you can have a topic and know 10% about it, and you can put a good enough prompt into ChatGPT where it will give you enough information, or it'll word it so it looks like you know the remaining 90%. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously good for a certain amount of time until you get found out. And then you start posting it on LinkedIn, or you start asking it to make status updates on LinkedIn, and you know, you can spot it. You can spot it a mile away. You can see the people who have got like a tiny bit of information, but they don't know enough to be able to correct ChatGPT.
I think that's the issue with ChatGPT we're finding out now is I feel like it's uncovering a lot of people's unprofessionalism in terms of, okay, they think AI knows everything, aka I'm going to attribute all of that knowledge to myself. But it's very much dependent on what you know. Like the relationship between you and AI, it's basically the same as you would have to any kind of knowledge. So if you don't know a lot about a topic and you go out pretending you're an expert, well, the prompts you're giving ChatGPT or any form of AI, is going to uncover how much you don't know in terms of, okay, how is that message being portrayed, certain words you never use, or phrases, or just information that is wrong.
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it's a scary time because it's so amazing in terms of like you can ask it to reword an email, or you can ask it to like, you can take a load of notes that you've written down and brain dumped onto like your notes on your iPhone or something like that and say, okay, put all of these together into like a letter or an email or a briefing document or whatever it is. But you can start to see how people are putting too much trust in AI now. And I think the fact that we're all calling it AI, like artificial intelligence, is like the start of the problem. Like it's the first thing. It's not AI. ChatGPT is not AI. And especially the free version.
Exactly.
You know, the closest thing to AI is like the pro version, which is like $200 a month or something.
Yeah.
But
wow, is that really that much?
Yeah, it's
200.
like that,
wow.
well, it's ChatGPT Pro, and you get like a load of different features, but you couldn't almost like get the pro version without knowing how to use the free version. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So the beginner stage is what everyone uses, and then once you know a lot about it, eventually you move into the pro.
It's all about the prompts, isn't it? Like, you almost have to know how to talk to ChatGPT to get it to do what it will, what you want it to do, because it's so literal. Like,
I think that's what I meant by when I say like it's uncovering a lot of people's unprofessionalism. Is many people don't even know how to speak to other people.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
It's like, okay, if you're giving ChatGPT really bad prompts, well, a bad answer is going to come out and you're going to go, yeah, AI doesn't work. You know, ChatGPT is not really good. Well, how about rewriting your question in an appropriate way?
And I think this is the problem. I think you can put something into ChatGPT and you write it like with spelling mistakes, no grammar, no punctuation, not really thought about it. It's just like, write me, for argument's sake, like write me a detailed paper on Consumer Credit Act. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Boom. And the way it sticks it back out to you is so professionally done and well written and well structured that you're convinced that it knows everything.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that ChatGPT, it's not Google.
Yeah.
It's not drawing information from like live sources and then giving you that as a selection to go, oh yeah, I'm not going to click the top 2 adverts because they're adverts. I'm not going to click the one on page 4 because that's not credible.
Yeah.
I'm not going to click the one at the bottom of page 1. I'm probably going to click this one that's got like a TripAdvisor review or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mary gave it a 2 stars.
Yeah, exactly. The one that looks real and it's got some pictures and there's a video linked to YouTube or Instagram. That's the one I'm going to click.
Yeah.
And there's what people don't realize when they search Google, for example, there's a whole internal decision-making process within you as a person into which one you're going to click and why. And if I asked anyone, like, why did you click that one on Google on the top page? Everyone would have a different reason for why they chose whatever selection they chose on Google, because it resonated with the biases that they've got as a person or whatever.
Yeah, if I search if I search a question on Google and okay, I'm going through the pages and I see like Yahoo. Okay, I never clicked Yahoo, so I'm never
Bing.
going to get I'm never going to get my information from Yahoo. So ChatGPT might not have that filter, right?
Yeah. Well, I suppose to where I was going with it was that you have to make a decision with Google as to, you might have already a bit of knowledge on the subject that you're Googling, and then you go, well, that's clearly wrong, that's clearly right, whatever. So it gives you choices. Like, you have to make a choice with Google. With ChatGPT, doesn't. Yeah. You don't have that. It goes, write me this article, or write me this LinkedIn post, or write me this, and it just goes, boom, done.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's where people go wrong. I was listening to Jordan Peterson speak about how he uses ChatGPT. He uses it a lot to write things out, like in his books, in publications, and everything. But the big distinction here is that he backs it up. So when he asks a question to ChatGPT, obviously you have the option to tell where this source is coming from.
Mhm.
So it gives you like 10 different websites where it's pulling all the information from. Then he goes himself and he goes to verify each of those websites that they're right and that they're going towards the point he's trying to make.
Correct.
And if one of them fails, well, then he rewrites the whole thing. So he's triple checking, if you want to call it that, all of his information. While I feel like a lot of people just put stuff into ChatGPT and then, as you said, because it's worded it really nicely and like with very professional words, that must be right.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
That's exactly what it's doing. It's doing that research for you, but it's not got a filter in the sense that it's just going, oh, this website here is talking about this subject matter, right? Copy and paste.
Yeah.
Right, okay, there's another one over it, copy and paste. And then all of a sudden it has like 5 or 6 copy and pastes, and then it produces an article. It doesn't know whether that article is right or wrong. It's not going, okay, I've written this article because I've actually pulled the Consumer Credit Act up and I've read it all, I've understood it all, and now I'm going to write you an article based off what I think is the most important parts of this law. And what the dangers are, and the biggest concerns I've seen on LinkedIn, for example, is that people are treating it as if it's 100% accurate. It shouldn't be treated as if it's even 50% accurate.
Yeah.
You know, you can spot them a mile away, the people who have put something into ChatGPT that was probably from an ill-informed article or a very like shallow article, and they've gone, put this into my own words or whatever, and you can see the stuff it's produced, but because they don't have enough information or knowledge on the subject itself, they can't call it out. And I think there's a real lack of education or a needed education around ChatGPT, especially, or how large language model platforms work like ChatGPT, is that people are calling them AI, and because you're calling it AI, you're naturally thinking that it's 100 times smarter than you, and it's not. It's just
they're almost treating it like a god. Like,
100%.
AI knows. Well, no, it's AI is a collection of all the information we know out there, like written by humans.
That's it.
It's not a superior being.
It's pulling knowledge from. It's just searching. It's searching a million different references that are already baked in to its knowledge base. But what I've noticed it will do is, if you ask it a load of questions over, say, the period of a month or 2 weeks or whatever, and you do it all in the same thread or you do it in different ones, it will start to give you results that it thinks you want.
You've tapped into a very, very interesting topic here, which is ChatGPT is a massive echo chamber.
That's the word, echo chamber.
Whatever you think is going to produce that result. So if you have an opinion that is categorically wrong, ChatGPT is going to find the resources to say that you are
100%,
right. So let's put an extreme case. Obviously, I think everyone's going to agree with, Germany, Second World War, what Germany did. If you were on Germany's side and you try to say, prove to me this was right, it's going to give you the answers that you're looking for when everyone in the entire world knows that you're wrong.
No, exactly. It will justify biases, your biases, and you won't realize you're doing it because it forms this. There's a setting on ChatGPT that if you go into the settings, and it's called memory, click memory, right, and it'll show you all of the things that it's committed to memory. And it will shock you because you'll be like, why have you committed that to your memory? Like, what why did you think that was significant? And what it does is that memory starts to form like who you are, what you're always asking, like what, it's almost like a psychological profile on you that ChatGPT stores, and you don't even know it's there. But what it then does is it completely influences the responses it gives you. So if you're not asking very, very sharp, proper prompts, and by prompts I mean what you're telling ChatGPT to do, it is going to basically fuck you over, because you are going to get a response that ticks a load of biases, your personal biases, and you'll use it in whatever you're using ChatGPT for at the time, whether it's anything written anyway that you're going to post on social media, especially LinkedIn, it will lead you down the garden path. And if you're sat there going, oh yeah, AI, this is AI is correct. It's not. It's not. You should use ChatGPT to go, this is an idea of something that I'm thinking of. What should I do? Or like put this into something, and it'll lay a very solid foundation for you to work on. But if you're gonna ask ChatGPT to give you a finished product with no input from you other than the original prompt, then sorry, mate, but you are gonna get found out big time, and you're gonna look like an idiot.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake I think people are making. That ChatGPT is unfortunately never neutral. It's always biased by you.
Yeah. 100%.
So obviously, if you have a friend, that friend is going to keep you accountable. If you've said something that's wrong, he's going to tell you. He's going to say, no, sorry, this is wrong. But if you had a friend who always agreed with you, even when you said stuff wrong, that's the big mistake. What do you think? It's interesting as well to see the different uses. We're finding for it, right? Like image generation and music generation and all like voice generation. It's interesting to see where this is going, because people seem to be liking it a lot. You know, I consume quite a lot of YouTube, and all of the YouTube thumbnails now seem to be all generated by AI. You know,
yeah. Well, I think it goes back to the whole, like, it ties into that lazy attitude, doesn't it? You know, AI in general, whether you're using like DALL-E or you're using, you know, all of the different ones,
Leonardo or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like DeepSeek and all that sort of stuff.
The names are really, I don't know how they come up with that stuff, but they're really cool. They're like, you know, Opus, Secret,
Silicon Valley type stuff.
Yeah,
but it ties into that whole human nature of like, yeah, wow, I can be seen to be really efficient, or I can be seen to be really smart, or I can get loads of jobs done. And I think you're starting to see it now in people are going, oh wow, I'm going to get it to do all of this for me so I can be super productive.
Yeah.
But what I found is they'll go, okay, yeah, I used to have to do all of this manually, so that was my usual work day or workflow or however you was doing it. Now I'm using ChatGPT, so now I don't want to even do 20% work.
Yeah.
I just want to like dump it in, right, make me a YouTube thumbnail for this, or, you know, make me a letterhead for that, or, you know, give me 20 ideas for a LinkedIn post, or like write an email newsletter, whatever it is. And people are going, well, actually I was doing 100% of this work manually before and doing the research, but because ChatGPT's come along and whatever, people are going, well, now I don't even want to do 10 and 20% of the work. I just want ChatGPT to do it all for me. And I've started to see like loads of filler content, you know, really shallow opinions,
just terrible
things that are wrong. You know, things that have been gone out on blogs and articles where you go, mate, come on, this is, I could research the topic for 10 minutes and get a bit more substance to this. And like you say with YouTube now, the thumbnails, when you go on it, you can just spot them a mile away, because no matter what you tell it to do, it will always have the same look and feel and vibe. You know, it's not.
Yeah, it's not you. It's just not you.
It's got no creativity. It's operating within a fixed parameters. And if you think about ChatGPT, you know, I think I only know maybe 3 or 4 people who know how to use it properly.
Yeah.
You know, everyone else is just going, oh, I've got the app on my phone and I'm asking it to rewrite an email, you know, Microsoft Copilot and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most people are going like, ChatGPT is amazing, you know, it tells me how to switch the batteries on my remote.
But cool. people are going, oh yeah, this is really good, this is AI. It's like, it's summarizing an email for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's taking a piece of text and going, all right, so I've summarized this for you. You didn't ask me to do it, but I summarized it. Oh, this is amazing. I use AI all the time.
Yeah.
And
I'm a pro, I'm a hacker.
Yeah. And then there's this really annoying term saying where everyone goes, actually, I use AI in my business every day. And it's like, okay, can you expand on it?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like specifically, how is AI helping you in your business?
I told it how to write out like my meal prep for the week.
Yeah. Chicken rice. It's replied to all of my emails that were spam emails anyway. Yeah. And so I just think, you know, you see, it's scary to see how far it's come and people's attitude towards it in like less than 12 months. But I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting move forward when you can get it to do stuff for you.
Yeah, and when people eventually go into it as the ultimate resource as well, because there's a guy called Dan Mace. He's a very successful editor, and he says that it's not that he never uses ChatGPT, but he says that he is very cautious of how he uses it. So AI or ChatGPT, whatever you want to call it, he uses it for idea generation, as in, okay, help me to come up with different ideas for different video topics, whatever. But it never allows the AI or the ChatGPT to write the script for the video.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very different attitude, because you can use AI to influence your thinking and your ideas, whatever, but it's not going to do the work for you, because ultimately people are interested in what you think, and this qualifies for any type of job position. It's not whether you're a lawyer or whatever, but they're all interested in you and your input into the business rather than the right opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think I've asked it to do ideas for a podcast, and it just fails.
Yeah.
It just fails like instantly. You know, you have a clear idea of what you want to do and how you want it to sound, and you know, if you used to do anything, like you start every task with an idea in mind, don't you? And I've asked ChatGPT to do stuff based off what I consider quite good prompts. I think I'm a pretty pro user of ChatGPT.
Yeah, I would say so.
It just fails. Like, it doesn't even get it 10% right. It's gone, do this for 10 minutes and talk about this 10 minutes. It's like that's not how humans work. That's not how conversations happen.
I just think if I could put it into words, I think it's like ChatGPT is the equivalent of if you saw someone that was super successful down the street, driving a really nice car, has really nice clothes, has like really nice everything, and then you spoke to him and like it's empty. There's nothing there. When you talk to him, he's like got no input, whatever. It looks right, but it's not right.
Yeah.
When you translate this into like a video topic idea or like a podcast idea, what you said, it gives you what looks right. If you gave this to someone that doesn't know about this topic, it looks right. I mean, yeah, I can read it, I could understand it, but it's not appropriate. It's just not the right thing.
No. Well, the cool thing that I will say about ChatGPT is that if you have a large data set, so in Sentinel we use AI for analyzing all of our conversations, and what I mean by that is that we have got thousands and thousands of claims, and they've been in the system for a long time, and there's a lot of correspondence going back and forth on various different car finance claims. And what AI has allowed us to do, we've got it plugged into our entire G Suite, which is Google. All of the CRM that we use that uses the emails, all of the emails come back and forth into there. All of the documentation that we get in Disclosure goes into our Google Drive, and then we have ChatGPT plugged into those. So what is constantly happening with ours is that our sample size of lender behavior and correspondence and emails is coming to us, is increasing every single day. So we can ask it to assess changes in tone of voice. We can ask it to assess like what is the common rebuttal, you know, in terms of why they won't provide us with a specific piece of documentation. We can ask it to say what is the average time it takes for someone to respond to us on average. All stuff like that, which, you know, you would never really consider if you didn't have all of that data already plugged in, if that makes sense. So what that's allowed us to do is we've been able to go, well, this lender that takes this long, this lender takes this long, this solicitor always says this, they always say this, but you guys always seem to go back and say that, and that kind of wipes the floor with it. So what that's allowed us to do is, within our initial documents that go out that say, this is why we're taking Santander to court, this is why we're doing this, it's allowed us to put our template one in that we use, our initial letter before action or letter of complaint, and go, okay, based on everything you've just told me and all of those rebuttals and all of those answers and questions I've just asked, how would you improve this document? And then it goes, okay, based off this document that you've given me, and based off the 10,000 emails that I've read that have been received off the back of this letter of complaint or this letter before action, I would suggest including this, and this in your initial letter before action or letter of complaint, because they always seem to respond and say this.
That's very interesting.
And that's where, when I say Sentinel uses AI, we're just using AI to map patterns. You know, we're not asking it to do anything, you know, unbelievable. But the difference between what we've got and what I don't think anyone else has got in the space at the minute is the data to train the model on. So we can say, okay, this document has been produced off the back of 10,000 rebuttals or 10,000 problems or 10,000 whatever, and we've improved it based off that.
That's so interesting.
And that's what's cool.
That's AI on steroids. I think that's what it maybe was originated for. Is it knows everything, but it needs to know everything about you as well and what you do.
It's you could say it's AI on steroids, but it's just got a massive memory bank of this specific problem. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
it's like your best friend that knows everything about
you. Yeah. If I said to you, right, go away and edit this video, which obviously you can do in no problem, you would have a very specific way of doing something based off producing thousands of videos in the past, wouldn't you? I'd say to you, why do you do that? And you go, oh, because if you don't do this, like what you were saying to me just before we started recording, you said, oh, I need to change your settings on Final Cut Pro. And it's like, why? And it's like, well, because I figured out if you do this, it takes up a lot more memory on your Mac. Yeah. And, you know, you've done that because you've done so many videos where they've been over, 20 minutes in length and it's slowed your entire system down. Yeah. But you would never know that was a problem unless you'd have done all of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and have the context as well for anyone. So if I'm going to produce a video for this topic, I have reference of all the other topics that have functioned in the past. So exactly. I know I can basically guarantee that it's going to work based on evidence from the past. And that's what you guys have with all the thousands of cases. You just put it into the system. Now it knows.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing that we've started doing now off the back of it is, obviously that's just an isolated incident. And it's actually really easy to set up and do as long as you've got the emails to feed into it. But what we've been doing since just before Christmas is we've been taking all of the introducer agreements between the car finance lender and the borrower. And all of these are usually provided to us in like a PDF format. So you have to use an OCR scanner to convert the flat PDF into like readable text, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because I don't know if you've ever tried to do it, but if you open up a PDF, it's just static. You can't move any of the elements.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? So you couldn't click a PDF and edit a word on a PDF because it's just it's locked. So you have to unlock the text elements. So you have to use what's called an OCR scanner, and the OCR scanner basically digitizes all of the elements so that you can manipulate them with the computer. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. And what we started doing is there's a lot of these PDFs or these documents, should I say, these introducer documents that are paper documents. They have been scanned in using the world's worst scanner by the looks of a lot of them, and then sent it as a PDF in a password protected PDF to us as part of disclosure.
Can you tell me the password?
Yeah, it's Sentinel 11111. And we've started to do is unlock or digitize all of them. I think we've got something like, it must be like 650, 700 of these specific introducer documents, which highlights the commission payment structure between the car finance lender and the car dealer. Okay. And then what we've done is we've separated these by Santander, BMW, Close Brothers, Barclays Partner Finance, Black Horse, and we've given ChatGPT access to the individual folders. So it's now got a model, or it's now working on a model of like, this is Santander. So you ask specific questions around Santander. So out of let's say these 200 Santander ones, out of all of these 200 Santander documents, what was the average head office commission paid, or what was the average minimum amount of loans that the dealer had to do to get a advanced commission? So you can ask. The thing with car finance lenders is they all have the same document. Okay. So I'm sorry, what I actually mean by that is each lender has its own document, so they won't really differ that much. So why that's amazing for AI, and especially ChatGPT, is that you can ask a prompt that is specific to a lender and it will go and find it because all of the documents are the same.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I said to ChatGPT, right, tell me the user manual for an iPhone. Well, all iPhones are the same.
Yeah.
So it's going to give me a pretty accurate one.
Right, that makes sense.
It's not got any nuances to it.
Yeah.
So I can say, well, within the Santander introducer agreement, so it already knows what it's looking at because all of the documents are introducer agreements, which it's figured out. Tell me what the average commission was. Paid as HOC, because that stands for head office commission. That's what it says in Santander's documents. And you can do that for every single lender.
Okay.
And what ChatGPT is brilliant for is doing those types of tasks on scale, on volume, because it's essentially a manual task. You know, you're reading a document, finding a piece of information, committing it to memory, and then producing an average. Do you know what I mean? So if I said to you, go and find all of the words "and" in this sentence, you would just scan the document and go, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there they all are. Okay, how many ands on average in each document? Well, okay, there's 10 here, there's 5 there. Okay, this is the average. That's what you're asking it to do. I suppose the point I'm trying to make is if you've got the data, the large enough data set is very, very cool what you can do with it.
So anyone that has the data wins the game.
Yeah, if you've got a big enough sample of data, and I don't mean like you've got 10 documents. I mean like you've got a good amount of data to go, okay, but then obviously going back to our original point, you've got to have the understanding of how ChatGPT works and the prompts and so on to then interrogate it. Because you can't just say, okay, find me, you've got to really think about what am I asking it to do? And then you've got to figure out, you basically got to speak to it like a 4-year-old.
Yeah, it's complicated, man, because it's a combination of multiple things. You're speaking to a 4-year-old in a way, but you're also speaking to a 60-year-old
that's also like fully autistic and can do maths.
And it has its days. Some days it's like really angry with you. Some days it won't talk to you. It won't give you the answers you're looking for. Some days it's your best friend.
Yeah, sounds like a girlfriend or something.
Have you seen the recent beef with Elon Musk and the owner of ChatGPT?
I saw something on X the other day.
It's very interesting.
He basically wasn't something said like they announced like a $500 billion fund, and Elon said, oh, it's like they've not even got $5 billion or something.
I don't know the whole story of it, but and I don't understand what the difference is. But ChatGPT is going from a non-profit to a profit, whatever you call it. But that is apparently like a huge deal. And Elon made an offer to buy ChatGPT for $100 billion. And that was, obviously to me, it seems like a massive amount of money, but apparently within what ChatGPT is valued at, that is like a ridiculous number. That's like a very low number, which the owner of ChatGPT responded to Elon Musk saying, he said, no, thank you, but we will buy Twitter for 9.7 billion if you want. Obviously coming back at him with some heat. But yeah, there's been some big debates on this situation here. I
think the whole ChatGPT that Sam Altman guy, there's something quite fishy about him, because when you see all of his old interviews, he basically says, yeah, I'm just doing this for the AI, like I love it, I would never sell out, I would never do this, I don't earn anything from ChatGPT. There's loads of like weird things that he's said over the years, and then all of a sudden he's just gone, no, we're now no longer a non-profit, we're a full-on profit entity, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And you just think, well, all right, money, but everyone's got an element of greed into him, and especially at that level, I imagine ChatGPT level, that must be like trillions. But it seems like all these tech guys seem to follow the same route.
Yeah,
they all seem to follow the when Mark Zuckerberg, like, have you ever seen the Social Network, the film?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. So the Social Network is the story of Mark Zuckerberg and how he invented Facebook with the Weinstein, or however you call them, brothers. And
Weinstein.
He was a super nerd, a super nerd, and obviously, created this platform that started off as like a yearbook, a collection of people as a yearbook in each colleges, and you could like find people from each university, in America, and then it kind of turned into like a dating site, and then obviously it eventually evolved into what it is today. And the same with Jeff Bezos. Like you look at there's that really famous picture of him like sat at his desk, and it says Amazon in like graffiti or something, like really bad graffiti. And again, like a really, really big nerd, and they all like say the same thing. They all go down this like same evolution of, we'll never sell out. This is all for the tech. And then something happens in a closed room on Epstein Island where they all like go, I never said that. Yeah. But then they all come out buff.
Yeah, nice try, did he?
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. But they all like all these nerds who create this stuff. We, fair play to them. Not knocking nerds at all. Like I love them. I love them a lot.
They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people. The best type of people. You don't have these kind of people anymore.
Yeah, some say the best. They go.
Why do we always have to know impersonating Trump in these podcasts?
His impersonations are unbelievable. But they all go through this phase of creating something cool, never selling out. Then something happens like almost overnight. Then no one sees him for ages, and then all of a sudden, like, have you seen Jeff Bezos recently?
He is jacked.
He is stacked.
Yeah.
But the same with Mark Zuckerberg. Like all of a sudden, Mark Zuckerberg was like this.
Cool. How has he gone?
He looked like he was allergic to the sun. He
allergic to life in general.
He had no body muscle anywhere on his body. And then all of a sudden he comes out and he's like dressing cool. Yeah. Looks like he's spent some time on the beach. Yeah. He's like a blue belt.
Black belt.
Is he black?
No, sorry, blue belt.
Blue belt, yeah.
Right, blue belt.
And so he's like fully into jiu-jitsu, like training 2-3 hours a day. Yeah. He goes hunting.
Yeah, which he got called out. Did you see that that part? I've not listened to the full episode, but he got called out on the whole hunting.
Oh, really?
Thing. Yeah, because he was trying to play out as if he wasn't trying to be an expert, but he was trying to make out as if he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, 100%. I felt that straight away.
Yeah, and Joe Rogan, obviously being an expert, he asked them a super basic question, just what's the brand of the
like,
thing you use?
Know.
Well, and other people manage that for him. Okay, so this device that you use every day for hunting, you don't know the name of it.
Yeah.
He got called out big time.
Did people actually call him out?
Yeah,
I remember listening to it and going, "Oh, that's weird." Like even if you was a new person into a sport, you'd know exactly which one you got. But he also said stuff like, Joe said to him like, "Oh, what are you doing for target practice and stuff?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this. We've got like a range in the yard or something." And he's like, "Yeah, so what distance are you shooting from? And like what are you hitting like targets?" And he's like, I don't know. No, I've shot a lot.
I think Joe Rogan has a very good sense for this. Like he knows immediately when someone's talking from their own experience or when they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, he, especially like you say, Joe Rogan is like an expert bow hunter.
Yeah,
like that guy breathes it.
It happens a lot with MMA as well. When he has someone in that and they're talking about MMA, obviously Joe Rogan, black belt, jiu-jitsu black belt, knows a lot about Muay Thai, like incredible. He would be a really, really good MMA athlete. So when other people, like I see it all the time when he has comedians on, they don't know what they're talking about. They go, "Oh no, that guy's a monster." He says, "No, he's not. He's not. Like he's really not. That guy was destroyed."
Brutal.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get why people do that. It's kind of the same in sort of like the whole. It's kind of the same in businesses all over the place, isn't it? People are afraid to step out of their comfort zone, and then when they choose the most weird and wonderful time to step out of the comfort zone, it's on like a video they put all over LinkedIn, or they're on a Joe Rogan podcast or something, and they go, "No, that's wrong.
Yeah,
just don't do that again." Yeah. And then it's a shame because, obviously a lot of it takes a lot of courage and like self-belief to, stand by, have an opinion on anything. I think, especially when it's going online, to have an opinion and to go, yeah, this is this and this is that, to risk critics going, especially the host or especially like someone. It's always someone close where he goes, "No, mate, that was wrong." Yeah. And then you get called out online, but then you never do it again.
Yeah.
And
I just think there's a very big difference between knowing what you're talking about and not knowing what you're talking about. So Joe Rogan is really good at, he has a few things that he's very confident in. There's not a lot. He always plays like a really neutral character, but when it comes down to certain topics, he knows exactly that. And I think that the issue is when people step out of their way to go, oh yeah, no, I know really well this topic. Okay, yeah, walk me through it. And then they go blank. Like if I wouldn't be 100% certain if I was to step into a topic that I don't know that much about. And they're not willing to be flexible either. They're not willing to say, well, you know what, maybe you're right. Once they made the initial claim, they kind of feel like they need to back down. They go, oh, no, trust me. Yeah. Like there's a very famous scene of him with Brian Callen, which is like, he's a comedian. And I think he says something along the lines of like, oh no, I would win in a street fight against Jake Paul or something like that. And then Joe looks at him, he goes, no, you would get destroyed. Like you would get destroyed by him because people think that he's just like a YouTuber or something. But
he's properly trained.
He's had 6 years of the best some of the best coaching. So anyone in that position would be very, very good.
Yeah, it's people get excited, I suppose. But
have you seen? I didn't know that. Have you seen? Elon Musk was actually the co-founder of OpenAI.
Yeah. I've not. I don't know enough about it, but
wow.
I know he was involved in setting it up on the basis that it would only ever stay a non-profit. And I think that there was the original beef started that when Sam Altman said, I'm gonna turn this into a for-profit entity, Elon Musk was like, no, you're not. No, I'll pull all my investment or whatever. The whole reason I set this up or co-founded it or invested in it, whatever the actual connection was that it stayed non-profit.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. That's it now. Yeah, he basically said like this level of technology is going to be like for the greater good. And
of humanity,
if we to monetize it, it then becomes biased. It then becomes sort of,
that says a lot about Elon Musk. A lot of people don't like him, but
the second you monetize it, you relinquish control, don't you?
Yeah.
The second something's monetized, there is then private influence into, do we roll out like look at Apple. Case in point, this is one thing that really annoys me about Apple, is Apple is.
Do you mean Tim Apple?
Yeah, Tim Apple. Apple releases iPhones in stages. So like we saw it in like 14S, 13S, whatever, then the Pro, then the Max, and then the SE and 3GS and all that sort of stuff. And they do it specifically to milk the user.
Yeah.
So they'll give you there's never a major update.
Yeah.
Like you might get a few extra megapixels on the camera. You might get a few extra like sort of
minutes of battery life.
Yeah. But there's never enough. There's just enough to justify the paying for it and upgrading to it. And what they do is they just milk the customer. So instead of giving you this unbelievable technology that existed 20 years ago, like you look at Android or you look at Samsung's, they have got the best everything. Like you've got the best. The battery lasts for days.
Yeah.
The cameras are absolutely wipe the floor with iPhone. All of the things that you would use every day just work, and they're better, and the AI features are better, and it all just like there's too many things. I still use iPhone just for clarity, but what would happen look at what we've just said for the last 20 minutes about AI. If you used to then influence that with profit, and then all of a sudden it goes, okay, it does this, but let's only make it do 10% of that, and let's roll that out now, and then in 6 months' time, let's roll out this additional feature, and then we'll roll out. So
I see where you're going.
So it takes years to get advancement, and it's all for profit because they can sell each one of those improvements as justification to why they're going to increase the monthly prices, why they're going to do this. Ultimately, when they float on a stock exchange, probably the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or something like that, they'll go, oh, we now need to justify shareholder value.
Yeah.
We need to increase the price of this stock in ChatGPT or OpenAI. How can we do that? How can we ensure the stock price keeps going up? Stagger advancement.
Yeah.
Look at that. Every 6 months, we release a major update. No,
Yeah.
they've had that major update in the bank for 6 years, and they're still in the process of rolling it out. And I think that's what we're starting to see with Apple now. Like, if you look at anything to do with Apple and the stock price and stuff like that,
It's going down.
people aren't buying iPhones anymore.
Yeah.
People are still buying iPhones, but they're not upgrading as much as they were. You know, look at the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
$4,000 for the version 1.
That's what they always do. They always want to set the tone that they are the premium brand, and then after a few years, they put it down to a normal. I read Steve Jobs' book a few years ago, and it was interesting when he knew he was going to pass away. He had to make the decision of who was going to be the owner, the CEO of Apple. And I can't remember the names or anything, but there was a guy that everyone knew within the company that he would kind of be the guy that would take over, because he was like super creative, super like intellectual. He knew a lot about Apple. He was like Steve Jobs' B person. He was very, very important. But in the book, it talks about that he selected Tim Cook. I was going to say Tim Apple. No,
Tim Apple. Who said Tim Apple again?
Trump said it. He's got a really famous moment. He says, Tim Apple. Tim Apple.
Yeah, Tim Apple.
Anyways, he said he selected Tim Cook because he knew that he was going to be the right guy to make Apple bigger. So he wasn't as obviously, Steve Jobs was a genius when it comes to designs, everything. Honestly, I just love what he did with Pixar. Every single company,
DreamWorks,
unbelievable. You would think he would pick someone that was at his same level in terms of creativity, but he selected someone in the business world that would extend the lifespan of Apple. And it's interesting to see what you said now. It is true that they're dragging out products, but they just have every once in a while these bombs that drop. Like when when we had the iPhone 6, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, the 9 didn't come out, but when the 10 came out, it was like, whoa, everyone was freaking out. That massive screen, you no longer had that button.
Yeah.
And then iPhone 10 was really cool. And then iPhone 12 was cool because it went back to the original Apple design with box.
The edges.
Yeah. But then you have, again, what you said, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 4 models.
Honestly, I've got the 13 Pro, I think.
Yeah.
And honestly, I have no idea what has come out since then. I don't know what. Yeah, 13 Pro. But
I think there's, what you said, just very, very few differences.
The thing is with Apple now, though, is that, like, what is it? What is Apple? Because they have Apple Pay, and they're like launching this massive Apple Pay. Apple Pay obviously was where you had the Visa card or the credit card within your phone. Yeah. It's super handy. Like, I never even carry physical cards anymore. Yeah. But they've launched Apple Pay where you can send each other money via Apple Pay now in America, or it's just rolling out in America. And Apple have actually applied for their banking license to become a bank, because if you look at Apple's reports, they have got so much cash in the bank, like physical, free, untied up cash in the bank. Like, they've not debted up to their eyeballs like a lot of tech companies. They've got enough cash in the bank where they could be their own bank. Wow! And I reckon what they're going to do, if you think of it, it's absolutely genius if you think about it. They're going to launch this Apple Pay where you can send each other money on it. But then I bet you any money as a byproduct of it, they're going to know your credit risk profile if they don't already know it. So then all of a sudden they'll do what all of these challenger banks did.
Stinks of China.
Yeah, China.
Stinks of China.
But they'll start offering lines of credit. So imagine every single iPhone comes with a Apple debit card. But then on that debit, you can have an Apple account. Yeah. So your actual bank account is with Apple. It's linked to your iPhone. It's linked to your Mac. It's linked to your iPad. It's linked to your Apple Watch. Yeah. But then they go, oh, do you want a credit card? Who's the credit provider? They don't need a MasterCard. They don't need anyone.
That's so interesting.
They can go, okay, who's your credit card? It's Apple Pay. All right. What does that mean? Well, they've got like $5 trillion in the bank. Yeah. They're now lending their own money to every single iPhone user or every single iPad user. So think about that. Like, the biggest one is access to capital and access to funds for like people who've got American Expresses or various different credit cards. they can go, well, all right, I'm just going to offer one to every single iPhone user instantly. And even if they only had £1,000 per card or £500 per card, whatever it is, well, there you go. We'll give it you because we've got all of the money set in the bank.
Is this the next PPI? Is this the next Apple finance claims?
Like what affordability checks are they doing? That stinks of a claim to me. But it's genius by them.
The amount of information they have as well, it's absolutely, sometimes it scares me when you go into like your Apple devices and it tracks every single Apple device you've ever owned. And in that list, you can see like your first generation AirPods you had and your iPad.
iPad second generation.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But the crazy one for Apple for me is, have you seen the any app on the Apple App Store now? It like with Instagram or Facebook, like I've done a lot of Instagram ads and Facebook adverts, and I used to just manage them all through the app on the phone. And now, so you'd spend a tenner.
Yeah.
But now, if you want to spend a tenner on ads, they put 30% on top. No, it's 50%. 50% they were putting on top of it.
I can't believe they've done that.
Honestly, I think I sent you the screenshot actually when they first did it a few months ago.
Yeah.
If you're managing anything through an app on an iPhone now that is not an Apple product, so Facebook or Instagram, they are. I think on TikTok they're actually adding 100%.
Yeah.
If you want to spend a tenner, you actually need to pay Apple £20.
I wonder where they're thinking of going with this, because now they're going to move a lot of traffic off of their phones into their desktops. I don't think that interests Instagram, because let's be honest, if I was to be scrolling Instagram on my MacBook, I would probably last about 15 seconds before I shut it down. I'm not interested in scrolling through my desktop. It's not really interesting. So I wonder where they're making that connection of, okay, sending people to the desktop, because I'm no longer interested obviously I don't think anyone in their right mind is going to pay 50% commission to Apple for absolutely no reason. No. You don't get any benefits. You're literally just giving money away. So I wonder where they're thinking.
Well, I think the issue is now is that if you think about it, Apple's done all of this legwork to put an iPhone in the hands of as many users as possible.
Yeah.
And you as a service provider, an app, whatever, you can literally like create an app on your laptop, upload it to the Apple App Store, and in theory be downloaded by billions of people straight away. And I think if you remember when you first got the iPhone, it came preloaded with YouTube on it.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, and the very first few iPhones, it didn't have the original YouTube logo, but it came with it was a little old-fashioned TV.
Man. Do you remember that logo?
It was horrible.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, it was horrible. But that and Google Maps.
Same with Instagram. It was terrible. Logo in the beginning.
But they shipped all of these iPhones with preloaded apps, and I think Apple have now realized that all of their hard work is enabling things like Spotify and YouTube and stuff like that to gain mass adoption so quickly because it's available on your iPhone.
Yeah.
So therefore they're like, well, we want a piece of this now because we've made the iPhone to what it is, and you're just riding on our coattails, creating something. You're not adding any value. I don't even think you have to pay to go in the App Store. I think maybe you might have to pay £40 a year or something. I'm not. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not sure.
What, to go on the App Store?
Yeah, I don't think it's a lot. I don't think it's a lot of money to go on the App Store, relatively speaking. But
I think it's free. No.
Yeah, I think it is free. But think of all of the transactions that happen via an app.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And Apple has no all the shopping apps, Uber.
Yeah.
All stuff like that.
Yeah.
All of that is only possible. Uber is only possible because an iPhone or an Android phone exists.
Super good point. Yeah.
Their business does not exist.
Yeah, outside of and obviously, I'm curious to know what's the percentage of iPhone users versus Android. Let's find out. What's the?
I reckon the Androids are growing now.
Yeah, Android must be bigger. I think
must be. I know on the podcasts, when I look at the analytics, the majority of people who are actually listening to the podcast are on
Android.
Wow,
with Android accounting for about 70% market share and iOS at around 29. Oh, that's as of 2023 though. That's crazy.
iOS is only 29.
Yeah, 29%.
Well, the thing is as well, I don't think Apple's that big in like places like China, you know. I think a lot of them use...
Yeah, I think that's the delusion we have is in places like Europe or the US, it's everything's iPhone. But the second you go to like South America or...
Yeah, it's a lot of Androids.
Yeah, India or whatever.
Well, you can buy an Android phone for nothing.
Yeah,
like
well,
nothing.
Xiaomi are putting out like amazing phones for €100.
Yeah.
What you said, like spec-wise, it surpasses Apple. But obviously we know that's the thing about Android. I feel like maybe I'm not right in this, but like I feel that on paper, Android always wins. Battery life, processor, RAM, image quality, video, all of the features, it outdoes it. But it just doesn't have a soul to it. Like,
no.
The phone is just...
I know exactly
as
what
Gordon
you mean.
Ramsay would say, bland.
Yeah,
it's bland.
You know,
it's raw. It doesn't have any material to it. So when you compare, I remember when the S5, the Samsung S5 came out versus it wasn't the iPhone 5. I think it was the iPhone 4, something like that. Megapixels, the S5 was way better by a lot. I think the iPhone 4 had like 2 megapixels or something like that. But just the skin tones, the blues in the sky, everything was way better. So Apple's always been a master of doing that. That up until recently, most people don't know it, but like iPhones have had like 1 gigabyte of RAM, or half
it can't do anything. It just crashes.
Yeah. But they've managed to make it work better than an Android when an Android has like 6 gigabytes of RAM. 7.
Yeah. Did you ever see that Samsung advert that was advertising? I think it was like the Samsung like S20 or something like that.
Like S65 by now.
Yeah. But they had this advert where it was all about taking a picture of the moon. Do you ever see it?
There's a really good meme of that.
Honestly, there's they basically sold so many units. It was like one of the most successful Samsung products, phones ever at the time. And it was all based off the fact that the camera could zoom so far into the moon and you could take this like super, super high def picture of the moon. And it actually came out a couple of years later saying that Samsung built into the phone that if you were to zoom into the moon, the AI within it would recognize that it's the moon, and it would put up a CGI of the moon onto your screen.
I've just found it on Reddit.
Have you found it? Yeah. So if you zoomed in, it would like when it was flicking between lenses, it would switch the image. So it was no longer using the actual image. It was portraying a CGI onto the screen.
That is absolutely crazy. You're right. It's the S20 Ultra.
S20 Ultra, that's the one.
Oh my goodness.
What a scam that is.
Wow.
Absolutely. But it was like the most, I'm sure.
That's the most Samsung move I've ever heard.
I think people are actually suing them because I think it was literally the main marketing campaign for the S20 that you could zoom into the moon and take a picture.
I wouldn't be surprised, because you get a Samsung in it's what I said, like on paper it's much better than an iPhone, but then it's really not.
Yeah, there's so many articles on it. Samsung accused of fake moon photos. Honestly, and the images, like you could see why you would want a camera like that, but it turned out just to be completely fake.
That is absolutely terrible.
Just goes back to ChatGPT though, like what we were saying, people aren't expecting to be lied to or have to do it. Or
they just trust that so-called data. You're
using a system where you go, oh, I'm taking a picture of something. How can this be fake?
Exactly, and people just get misled. Let me play this sound real quick.
That's one of the reasons I'll never have an Android as well. That sound. Why anyone has their phone on loud and has that as their text tone? I have no idea.
It is absolutely a joke. Yeah, I think we've deviated a little bit of the original topic of ChatGPT, but yeah, it's interesting. This whole AI where it's going, the whole development of image creation, music creation, idea generation, all of this.
I think the biggest one is that the what we think AI is and what it currently is at the minute is like two completely different things. And what if anyone is out there using ChatGPT or any of these platforms, like take the time to understand what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't think that this is the holy grail. It's going to give you all of the answers and all of the answers are correct. And you know, if you can't find it anywhere online, well, if AI says it, it must be true. You know, that is literally how misinformation starts.
Yeah.
You know, like look at everything that happened with COVID.
Yeah.
You know, we was taking all of the information from the news.
Trust the news. Trust the news.
Yeah, trust the news, trust the science, all that sort of stuff. You know, where are we now?
That was it. Trust the science.
Where are we now? You know, and that was like less than it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Crazy to think about that.
Yeah, but we took it as gospel. And now all of the studies are coming out, all of the facts, all the doctors, all the whistleblowers, blah, 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 blah. But the fact is, like, remember that this is a piece of technology that didn't exist a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So just approach it in that way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where people transition, whether they're going to actually learn that ChatGPT is just a tool. So I'm going to learn to use it as a tool and not as the ultimate resource. And where that also leads down to what you said about social media. So if we scroll now on Instagram, you can see most of the captions are written by AI. So you learn how to spot them a mile away. What kind of reaction is that going to provoke? You know, trends in terms of people that are start to write actual stuff by themselves. Is that going to become more popular because people ultimately agree more? Are more prompt to read real stuff rather than something created by AI?
Well, I think what I've seen, obviously this is on LinkedIn, is there's a lot of people using ChatGPT to create posts, create, you know, articles, give them a thought-provoking topic or whatever. And you can see these individuals posting, but not refining the post to make it human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, the overuse of emojis. You know, no one writes in emojis.
Yeah.
You know, you might get one in a WhatsApp text, you know, on every 100 texts, there might be an emoji or something like that.
Yeah, unless you're a teenager. Just the use of words like fascinating.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
ChatGPT likes to use adjectives.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know why.
I have no idea.
Why is that default?
No, I have no idea. No one speaks like that. But people just copy and paste it and put it on, and you can spot it. And I think what we're going to see in social media now is we're going to see that. You remember the TikTok phase when it was like 3-second videos, and you're like, wow, this has got 60 million views, and everyone was like just posting super short videos, and then everyone's kind of gone, well, I hate these videos now. I don't want to.
I'm getting no value out of this.
I'm getting someone scream on with a high volume music on it, you know, but I've watched 700 reels in the past 4 minutes.
Man, this transitions beautifully into what I want to talk about as well, like authenticity in general. That the trend, the 5 years trend is always the opposite of what we're doing right now. So it's what you said. If people are doing 5-second reels, the trend in the future is going to be 5-minute reels.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I think or should I say, I'm like 32, and I've already seen it. I've seen that TikTok stuff happen. People blow up. People get like 1 million followers, but no one be like, okay, I followed this because this was a new platform. It did well, but I don't really like that content, or I'm not going to keep going back to that type of content, or I don't take any value of it other than like if I'm doom scrolling on a Friday night and I've not gone out, whatever. That is where that content lives. And I think we're going to see the same with AI generated content. And what I mean by AI generated content is that I think we're going to see a lot of quote unquote thought leaders or experts, so-called experts or whatever. Gurus, all of a sudden pop up. And then all of a sudden disappear. Because what social media is very, very good at is calling bullshit. And I think once you've done 10, 20 AI written posts,
that's it.
You can't keep posting superficial posts. You can't keep scraping the surface, because all of a sudden someone will say, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Or where can I find the information for this?
Yeah.
Or can you provide me the source? Or, you know, they'll have one conversation with you in person or like on a Zoom or on a phone call or whatever and go, he has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what's going to happen. People are going to shine up to light and they're going to go, wow, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. It's really interesting. Let me follow, let me engage, boom, boom, boom. And then 20 posts later, be like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I know the top 5 problems with the industry. I know the 6 ways to optimize my LinkedIn profile. I know the ramifications of the car finance claims industry on Black Horse.
Yeah.
I know what happened at the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal and why it impacts consumers. You know, you can only post that way for so long before
and
people
look
go
so smart.
Yeah. You can't post the same stuff all the time.
It's not to get like super spiritual or whatever, but I remember reading a book by Joe Dispenza that he said that we humans are only happy when the ideal version of ourselves, like he calls it the future self, and the present self are aligned, aka like the person you want to become is actually who you are. So I think that's what we're finding here is people are focusing too much on who they want to become, but they're not that person. So it's what you said. They're experts in the future because they're talking about information that they're going to have in the future, but they don't currently have it.
Yeah.
And that's when people call bullshit. They go, yeah, no, you're not that guy.
Well,
You're not that guy, pal.
I think also there must be like a really big element of stress of like, not imposter syndrome, but if you was constantly trying to look like you know what you're talking about, and you're posting about a topic that you don't really know, or even worse, don't have any passion about, it gets boring very, very quickly, and it gets quite hard to maintain.
Yeah, and that's what people like. People like to relate to that person, like have moments where you're vulnerable, where you don't have the answer.
Yeah.
If you know it all, well, yes.
But I think going back to your original point about authenticity is that there's a lot of, like in the legal industry, for example, like with Sentinel, there's God knows how many law firms, and there's God knows how many claim types, and these areas of law, and within law firms, like there's very, very knowledgeable people who know a hell of a lot about like this one subject matter, and that's why they're lawyers. That's why they can charge so much money. That is how the law runs. You're not an expert on every single part of law. You specialize, and I think this is where law firms are missing out. This is where the legal industry is ripe for disruption, because lawyers are inherently risk averse. They're scared of saying something that could be wrong and potentially being sued for it, or misadvising a client.
Right.
So therefore, they're scared to say anything. And that scared of saying anything is actually going to, in my opinion, stifle a lot of not big law firms, small law firms, medium law firms. I think they're all guilty of it, in the sense that they have got a product that is being sold at a premium because there's a lack of information around that product, which is knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And that knowledge used to come through, right, okay, you'll engage a lawyer, you'll pay them £1,000 retainer or whatever it is, and probably tens of thousands of pounds over the course of whatever it is you're doing. And they will educate you, they will handle a case for you, and. But AI is about to transform all of that, where you could take all of your documents, all of the problems, all of the court letters, and put it into something like ChatGPT, and it'll give you a very layman's term summary, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, the USP of a law firm and a lawyer kind of dilutes itself. I'm not saying it completely removes itself, but it dilutes itself.
Yeah.
But where law firms have got this massive opportunity to capitalize on is this new generation of customer. And what I mean by that is that gone are the days when you ring up your stockbroker, lawyer, accountant, you know, why is this your lawyer? Well, it was my dad's lawyer before, and it was his dad's lawyer. You know, we've always used this particular law firm to handle our commercial business. And people don't buy like that anymore.
Yeah.
And what I think is going to happen is you're going to have your millennials and your Gen Zs and the people who have basically grown up with social media, or have the vast majority of their adult life has been lived with social media and access to information and access to brands.
Yeah.
I think that a real opportunity in law at the minute is being a authentic person who can articulate complex topics in a easy to understand, informative and engaging way. And I think the law firms, like take the Magic Circle law firms, they will always be instructed by the big banks and the big insurance companies because that's how you do.
That will never change.
If you're a bank, you instruct this type of law firm, that's how it is. But at some point, it's going to break.
Do you think it's going to favor the individual more than the entity itself?
100%. The brands will become known for having the individual. And what I mean by that is that the original curiosity or the original engagement in the content or the original reach out to that specific person will because that specific person has been on social media or been in the news or has been doing something where someone's gone, wow, that guy seems like he knows what he's talking about, or that girl looks like she knows what she's talking about, or she said something really interesting that resonated with me, or that person just seems like a cool person that I would have a pint with or have a coffee with, who seems approachable and isn't going to lie to me and isn't going to sell to me and isn't going to, use a load of fancy words and make me feel like an idiot. They just feel real.
Yeah.
And if you think about law, you only get lawyers involved when something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
And you're essentially in a vulnerable position that you've probably not been in and probably won't be in many more times in your life. And you're looking for help.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way, but it is true. It's not like a restaurant, right? Where, I'm just going to go wherever.
It's not transactional. It's not a transaction.
You're in a vulnerable situation and you don't know where to go. So you're going to go with the person you trust the most, that seems the most genuine.
Mm-hmm. But you've also got to think about, the human psychology is look at the psychology of how you buy anything now, right?
Yeah.
You're going to buy anything above £100, right? Where'd you go? Okay. I'm not going to make an £100 impulse purchase.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the internet and then I'm going to go on probably YouTube and type in the product name or type in my problem or type in whatever it is. And I'm going to do some research and I'm going to click on a few videos, watch it, see what people say, see how people respond, Oh, have they got an Instagram? Right, okay, what does their Instagram look like? Are the social media platforms real? Why are they not on YouTube? Why are they not on Facebook? Why that instant red flags to a specific generation of consumers that are now going to be ultimately the future customers. And I think when you look at all of these law firms, but now you look at the people who probably will be engaging them within the next decade, you're going to be in a situation where you go, well, I've got no social media presence. I've got no website. I've got no thought leader or authenticity or anything. So I'm going to skip, thank you. And I might go to a lesser company, but they look more real.
Yeah.
And that's the point. But just conscious that red light is now flashing. So that means the batteries are going to run out on the camera soon.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Good
call. That means
there.
We've been going for ages.
Yeah, we've gone for 1 hour, 13 minutes.
Wow. But to wrap it up, I think the shift or the opportunity point within the whole legal sector is authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think the only way you can be authentic is by literally being yourself. But you can't sit there and expect ChatGPT and all these AIs to do all the work and position and give you a load of stuff to talk about and seem really smart and seem really educated and seem like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get exposed.
That's a really good way to end it. I think that's a great conversation for next episode.
Cool. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.